shirt making seems to be something I do with the people that I love. Bryan and I made shirts. Stacey and I made shirts. Lots of shirt making happening in my world.
Welcome to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. Get ready. It's Bryan and Jon, two gay cousins having big talks and even bigger laughs. Join us. Let's see what they're up to. It's Out Loud and Laughing.
Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh. Welcome everybody to another episode of Outside. Oh, I always say outside, Bryan.
Well,
Help
you're
me.
inside.
Well, we are now. Well, we are going to be out loud today, and we are definitely going to be laughing because, Bryan, I'm so excited.
I know you are. I am.
Everybody can see. Everybody can see. Everybody can see. There's somebody else with us today.
Yes, we are welcoming Stacey to the chat. Welcome, Stacey.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, everybody's probably just, who is Stacey? Why
Is she?
here?
What is that shirt?
What is that shirt? There is a Wonder Woman out in West Hollywood right now who is just topless because you've stolen her
know?
shirt.
Exactly. Lucky everybody.
Lucky everybody, you and Wonder Woman.
Right.
Everybody, please meet Stacey. A quick intro. I will intro and then I'll let her, of course, let her chime in and tell us what she'd like to about herself. But as it pertains to our relationship, Stacey and I are best friends from college. She's the first person I met the day I moved to college.
Yes.
Let that sink in. It was awesome. Saying we fell in love, and it's been a storybook friendship ever since then. But Stacey, please come in and say hello to everybody. And we're just so happy.
Hello, everyone. As Jon said, yes, we met in college. We started our summer semester. Our grades weren't quite great enough to start in the fall.
Classic.
No, that's us.
But my best of friends since the day we met to this day, life's journeys have just brought us closer, and it couldn't be better.
It's the truth. And Bryan sits at the intersection, and I think what's really fun about bringing this crew together today for us and for you all who are sort of participating in this conversation with us is sort of this intersection of, Bryan and I have sort of spun our own lives outside of sort of the lives that's been within the worlds that sort of collide. And Stacey's part of one of the worlds that's collided. She's been around so long. So we felt it would be just really fun to sort of go over her perception of us, our perception, just sort of all of the things that we've never really even spoken about. I think this is going to be a really organic conversation, and it'll helicopter in places I'm sure we don't even know where we're going to go yet. So
yeah,
I
agree. Oh, go ahead, Stacey.
Sorry, I was going to say, I was trying to think about when we met the first time, Bryan, and it was a trip to your college, hanging out, and our trip back was the worst ever. We got pulled over by the police. I wasn't drinking a drop of alcohol. They did a DUI test on us at 3 a.m. It was the worst drive ever. Nothing came about of it except they got to mess with us for about an hour. But that was the first time you and I met.
I love that because I didn't remember that. I think what's fun for me about this conversation is, and obviously in this pod, Jon and I have talked a lot about our close relationship and always being there for each other. But there were obviously points in our lives where we weren't always together. And so I remember I was at a different college than Jon, and Jon was in a different location. And so we were still close, but we obviously weren't seeing each other often. And I heard about Stacey. I knew about Stacey. So I always felt a certain level of calmness knowing that Jon was almost being taken care of and had someone to support him. So I kind of love this from my own personal standpoint because I know you're such a trust circle for him. And so yeah, honestly, first guest on the pod. So super excited to have you, Stacey. And then let's get into it.
I think Stacey really started off at the best part.
Seriously,
right after we all met, Bryan, that was a party at the Sig-Ep house. That was the night that I fondled a woman's breast in Christopher's room. It was a really wild. So
I will correct you. I will correct you on it with Pie Lamb, not Sig-Ep. Just in case people comment because they know what frat I was in. But yeah, I do now remember that was the time.
That was the
so
night.
from that party, we took a little a cocktail umbrella that, and oh no, sorry, from that party we just left in General's car. That's whose car we were in. We had like a little cocktail umbrella. I guess she had just gotten back from Hawaii, and it like sort of insinuated and allowed the cops to search the vehicle. It was a thing, but that was
It was
Stacey
a
Wright's
mess.
first. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and I was a designated driver too, so it was fine.
We didn't
But
even say more. I've never said more our fathers in the matter of 20 minutes or 2
they
hours.
told
Whatever.
they told Jon, just stay where you are. He's like, what do you want me to do? Stay put, man. Oh, so funny.
That's amazing.
Um,
Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, I'll kick off the first question, because I'm not the outsider here, but you two, your bond is so close. So I would love to like build that connection and let people kind of understand that more. And so, Stacey, I would love to like maybe you to talk a little bit about like what's like one of your all-time favorite memories with Jon, which I know is a very hard question because you've had such a long friendship with him. But like, what's like a memory that really stands out for you?
Oh, goodness. There's one that stands out pretty quickly. I mean, aside from we used to work at Universal Studios together. We were characters during Halloween Horror Nights and parades, you know. So all of those moments, like it was a great time always. Going to the Parliament House was always a great time. We'd sing at the piano. But we did a karaoke contest one time at this little hole in the wall bar. I don't even remember what it's called, Jon. But we did Ike and Tina Turner, Proud Mary. We made shirts. Jon was delivering lap dances, and we won. We won the karaoke contest, and it was so great. I mean, the prize was nothing special, but like the whole moment, the performance, the practicing, you know, all of it was such a fun memory for me. It was so
Two things there. The first one, shirt making seems to be something I do with the people that I love. Bryan and I made shirts. Stacey and I made shirts. Lots of shirt making happening in my world. The second one is Bryan. There's like some crossover I think which is interesting here. So like, I don't even remember Gina,
Yeah.
our girlfriend Gina. So Gina also joined mine and Stacey's circle when you like left to go to UF,
That's
and
right.
her and I were also friends from high school. And so then Stacey was the driver who would take us from UCF to Universal because it was like a 25, 30 minute, maybe 40-minute drive from campus. We would go in this 1980s brown Toyota Camry called the Honey. The Honey. That we would literally go
mustard
bowling
colored seats.
with a bag of change for tolls.
Sometimes Jon would have to get out of the car and collect change at the toll booth because we would be so broke.
Classic Jon.
Classic Jon.
Man of change, a man of change.
Oh my gosh.
What have been some other moments, Stacey, that you can recall? You know, I'm sort of drawing a blank here because I'm always sort of in the moment, but I can't recall like other moments that you sort of interacted with Bryan. Can you recall any others besides the first? Or Bryan, do you have it?
Yeah, I feel like we went to your school at least another time or so, but I don't know. It was more on the outside. I felt like you were part of our circle, but it was just because you guys were so close and it was just what we talked about so much.
That's kind of that's what I find so amazing about this is like the connections that we have made through sort of the trust circle, like you said, Bryan, you know, and like there are friends within our network that have just, you know, there will be times or chapters I think in our lives to come still where like these like connections that are happening still here in real time and like you know, it's really cool to see friendships how they fold and evolve into our lives, and especially now that this is happening. Stacey, of course, you being our first Potter, like
yay!
done.
What a milestone!
Yeah, Bryan, what other questions did you come up with? Because I think like now I'm like feeling like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I love the memory thing. And I also think that you guys touch on an interesting point where like, I feel like I've been in the room with Stacey for probably a total, maybe like 2 days in our life, but we feel like still connected and we know each other, right? Because that connection glue between Jon and the way he talks about you and probably the way he talks about me, like you and I just feel like we know each other. So yeah, I love that. I would love for you guys to maybe talk a little bit about, because I know Jon and you and I talked about like how long our friendship has been outside of just being family. And so I think we move into a world these days where you start to question, is this person a friend for the short term or long term? Right. And so there obviously been a point where you two have decided where it's like, no, we are in this for the long term, right? We are in this, through thick and thin. And maybe we can just double click into that a little bit, because I would love to know like what drew you to each other, but then what was the glue that made you guys stick with each other?
I'm hearing a lot of fat implications. Thick and
I was
thin.
going to say, we both have swung about 100 pounds each, too. So that was really funny.
That was not the intention of the question, but let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Skinny bitch.
No, that's what it's so. Our love for music definitely was what brought us together. So I had a roommate. Jon had like a dorm area. They didn't allow women and men to be in the same room, but a dorm mate who were best friends. And they kind of introduced us just in a common area. And it was somebody's birthday. And they said, will you sing? My roommate knew I could sing. She's like, will you sing happy birthday? And the girl, Jenna, she said, well, Jon can sing too. So we sang together and we stayed up all night singing. Like we went back to the dorm and we were singing karaoke. Jon was playing his keyboard, his little keyboard. And it was, it was a place of comfort, us being new freshmen in college to have somebody that you had an instant connection with. Now I'll say that comfort like carried through school. We were the best of friends. We spent all of our extra time together, probably even more than we should have, like missing classes and such to do fun things because it was so fun. And then I think when you talk about long term, we have found ways to fit in each other's lives regardless of what we're going through, with zero expectation and knowing that that comfort and that safe place will always be there. Because, I had kids pretty early in life. I had a child at 21 and your time to spend with friends isn't always going to be there when you're raising a family. And so we learned to just fit where we could and not let that hinder our love for one another. Oh, I'm going to cry. To not let that hit, it never came in between us. It was never, I would find myself, Jon, I'm so sorry I didn't call you back. I had 3 kids, at some, along the way. And he'd be like, why are you apologizing? And then we wouldn't see each other for years. I mean, I think our longest was 5, 6, we went a long time without seeing each other for a long time. When we did, it was like no time had passed, and so you find like grace in your time and your love for somebody, and it's what matters, especially as you get older.
Yeah, I think that's, you got me in the heart feels there. And I'll double down too, because there are these moments in life. I think we all I hope we all have a friend like Stacey in our lives. It's crazy. I have so many. I have Bryan and Stacey, but when we're carrying so much with us, like in a time like when we're in college and it's very heavy and it feels new and it's scary, and you meet somebody that you can sort of just put it all on and then take theirs too and kind of like counter lever each other's like angsts and insecurities and build each other up through, just because of how kind and how funny and just like, the energy, right? Like when Stacey and I, from the minute we met, we were laughing. And we haven't stopped since. And, because of the foundation there that was built, like it allowed for life to sort of get a little hairy and for her to raise a family. I never took it personally, obviously, like there was just a lot that she had to give to raise her family, three boys. And inside of it, there was just so many other great memories. Right? I remember like, what was the, Stacey, the, viral video of the dance that went on on YouTube, and we did it at the twins' second birthday.
Oh, it was, what was that called?
Gingham style?
No,
it was like that though.
Everybody froze. And then it was like, and then they all started dancing. It was weird.
Harlem,
And we
the Harlem Shake, the Harlem Shake.
Right. And we started getting traction, our little video that we made on YouTube.
We did
No,
at
it
a
did. But
second birthday party.
you know what I mean? Like it was just like over the course of the years, there was that. And then like just as recently as just a few years ago, I came to visit you on my what I call my Southeast tour after I moved from back west. But and AJ, your son, who at the time was, I think, 16 or 17, had just gotten his permit and I let him drive my car, which they called the cool car at the time. So he drives my car and we're out and he like nearly gets into a car accident with me in the car as he's driving. And I just did my best, like, like appointed gay uncle. All right, I didn't flinch. I thought, here goes a $500 deductible and a ticket, and we're gonna get through it. And I knew like the step. Well, I just did like these little moments, and then I didn't say anything. I really was cool about it to the point that like he went, I guess, back to Stacey that night and was like, "Well, what happened, Stace?"
He said, "Mom, it was almost really bad." And I'm like, "What?" I almost got into an accident in John's car. And I was like, "What? What?" And John's like, "I wasn't going to tell you."
So it's over the
in
years,
a
like,
protective to my son, being the cool uncle, right?
and so, like, it's just all to say, I'm trying to like give it a big breath here. Is
Yeah.
just that over the years, like it's just allowed for different types of memories to be made, and from the beginning up until now, it's just felt like like I said at the beginning, a storybook friendship.
Mhm. And he got the opportunity to practice being an uncle.
It
for you,
did.
you know?
That
We
is
threw him in
true.
really quick.
Uh,
Stacey's kids are they're 18 and 16, right? The boys.
Yep, 16-year-old twins and an
Yep.
18-year-old. And it is it's a funny generation. I mean, okay, they are the love of my life. So let's just start there. Okay. But we can all be honest that
Right.
being a parent is very hard. The new generation of kids are different. I mean, my mom will call me and say, "Well, if I was their parent," and she'll give me some recommendations. I'm like, "I'm not raising kids from the 80s, Mom. I mean, these kids have everything in their hand." I remember my kids being young and I was like, "Oh, sorry guys, the zoo's closed." And they picked up my phone and were like, "It's not closed, Mom." I mean, these kids are
It's true.
they're brilliant, they're smart, they socially are different. But they're teenage boys, right? They don't want to hang with me anymore. I'm cool, obviously, but
You are a cool. You're the coolest.
they they need me for feeding them and having a roof over their heads. They don't want and money. Yeah, like I get that text that just says, "Mom." That's it. And I'm like, "Oh, what do they need?" But they're at the age where they're on their Twitch or they're playing games with their friends. They can be with their friends 24/7 if they really want to. So getting them out of their
Yeah.
bedroom is tough nowadays. It's not like us. Like we didn't want to be around our parents and then we would just leave the house. They're always in the house. They don't want to be with us. So it just feels different, But
We
it's a weird
It's so
generation.
true. Because of my kids, I mean, my kids are 3 and 5, but there's just this generation being raised on demand, so they have no patience because we had to wait as kids. So if you miss a TV show, you kinda missed it,
Right.
and you had to wait or, even watching the scroller on the TV for the channels, like, if you like,
Look at the TV guy.
all the, like, my kids now just yell at me, "They wanna watch this now," and you're like, "Okay," and they can, because they are allowed
Right.
to, and so to your point, like, they have access to
how am I getting
anything.
my channel? The show's gonna be over. I mean, so
Yeah,
slow.
and then you went to the bathroom and you
Right.
missed it.
Right.
So it's very it's that is so interesting, and yeah, raising kids
It's
is a blessing. Stacey, you will agree with me. But it also I always say it's 80% shit, 20% social media.
right.
Ooh, I have a
Right.
question for the two of you. I have a question for the two of you.
Yeah.
It's going to be about the different generations that you're raising kids in, right? So, what would be the core no, that's not the question. I want to know, sort of, yeah, what is the core difference between having like teenagers and like, you know, young elementary, pre-elementary school children in 2025?
I will say, because Stacey, I do wanna hear your answer, because I've been told, because you've been on this path way longer than I have, so I'll
Yeah.
take all your knowledge. But I've always been told it doesn't get easier, it just gets different.
I think that's fair. It gets different. And I think between like maybe my kids and your kids, Bryan, mine weren't mine didn't come out with an iPad, right? Like iPads
True.
came a little later, and I was one of those parents that was able to hold off till about like 12, 13 for the first cell phone. I imagine yours will have one if they don't already, you know what I mean? So like I had a little bit of time without that like instant
Yep.
distraction all the time. But they learned so quickly. I think it's gonna be more so, you know, they're just gonna get more or they're gonna get smarter with technology, and so that's really gonna drive like the change in parenting, right? Because your kids they're just armed with information now,
It's
and
scary.
they're armed young, you know? So um, you have to, the approach that I've taken, and I work in technology, I'm aware of the things that are going
Mm,
on, and um, I have to get ahead of as much as I can with information or opinions. And I'm very open and transparent with my kids about this is what I would do. You have to decide for yourself. You're going to read things, you're going to see things. Not everything you see is true. People can put anything on the internet. So, be open to learning from different sources, check your sources. Um, that's a big deal, because they see one TikTok and they think that's the
yep.
Bible, like it's not, you guys, like Joe Schmo from his garage is not the source of truth here. So
That's
it's
interesting.
wild. It's wild.
I didn't think about it I didn't think about the age range of technology usages and the accessibility. And then I also didn't think about your kids, Stacey, coming in a little bit later. I kind of forgot about that actually. Even though the internet was around, like the devices and such were still sort of being made. Wearables were still hadn't really come around.
Mhm.
Watches and stuff
Right.
were still being developed. Yeah. Um, I mean, well, technology also has been sort of the cornerstone in us sort of staying connected as well, right? So, while our children have sort of utilized it in certain ways, we have utilized it in ways to allow me to watch your families be raised. And it's how we stayed close to all of you. It's how you were able to sort of purview into Bryan's life and Bryan's vice versa, and
Right.
um, the technology sort of has helped bring this moment together to some degree as
It
well.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, yeah. But it's funny, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, like, think about the work that it took for us to just have a play date with our friends, right? Like,
Yeah.
you had to tell your parents, "Hey, Saturday, I'm going to hang out with John, and we're gonna meet at this place," and you had to
And
be
I mean,
there because and you had to call them up and talk to their parents for 20 minutes just to talk to John on the phone.
I wanted to take us in a different direction. I wanna go a
Mhm.
couple layer I wanna go a couple layers lower, if you're
ooh,
ready for it. Honestly, because I haven't seen enough tears yet, and I was expecting a lot more. And so I think it would be interesting. So we are all 3 little cogs in this massive wheel of humanity, and so it's always so interesting when you see 2 people connect and, like, find that connection, and it's not even marriage, right? It's just pure friendship, right? And so I would love to, like, understand how you have each impacted each other's lives, right? Because again, I know it's a really big question, but I just really wanna understand that because you have a 20 plus year friendship at this point, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine you each have realized why you've kept this person so close to you because they must have done something for you. So I kind of want to go there. And so let's see where that takes us.
John's
I'm
already
all right.
getting upset.
Upset. Sorry.
Oh.
It's emotional. Oh my gosh. From my perspective, when I moved to Orlando, I was about 18 years old, and I come out of the closet at 16 in high school. There had been sort of just a lot. I'd been running, chasing, escaping, looking for freedom. I was sort of raised in a household that didn't allow for a lot of autonomy. And so I mean, when I got to Orlando and like I really got to like just rest my laurels, I found you and you just like accepted them all. There was nothing that I ever told you that like shocked you. As a matter of fact, we made jokes in light of it all. And that just sort of like established a place that I could park it. And then from there, like there was just you never made rules. You never made rules for my existence in your life. And I think that's really important for any friendship or relationship to endure, is that there are no rules, that people can just be and change, because over time we do change. And my God, the chapters you've seen me go through, and the like, I remember my 25th birthday, he just showed up with a fucking cake with my picture on it. Like I was like strapped out in this shirt that didn't even fit me. My chest was all out. Like he did marshmallow this picture of me on this cake. The time that I like showed up and I drove all night to her house for her 30th birthday, like just had to be there for her 30th birthday because I knew nobody else was going to be there. And, um, when her parents got separated, when I lost my first boyfriend, I just,
Yeah.
the milestones, and I can go like her first child and being there and holding those babies, and she was scared and I was scared for her. And, you know, she had support, obviously. She was married and she had a husband, but it was just a very different time. And then up until now, like Stacey has been like one of the quintessential people who has like dragged me out of one of the darkest moments of my life. So like to like carry all that up into this moment, I mean, like how can you not feel like the luckiest man?
I don't remember what question you asked, Bryan. I've been shaking since you asked it, and then Jon started crying. I it's a beautiful thing to have a friend like Jon. I feel like we had our connection, like, and it was like a soulful connection, and it was the time where, you're 18, it's the first time you're living out on your own, and we're in new cities, and Jon has been with me through all of my firsts. You know what I mean? Like, first of everything, like as an adult, like when it not saying when it mattered the most, but like you don't have your parents anymore to be your like support system. And even, like Jon said, like first child, milestone birthdays, breakups, the good and the bad. But the last few years, like Jon kind of mentioned it, he went through a lot of change, and as did I. Like, we were both going through so many changes at one time, like in parallel. I was going through my divorce. Starting over at, 39 was really tough, and Jon was starting over, and it was different, but it was the same. And so, to have somebody to like talk about all the hardest parts of that, it really helps you find ways to get through it, because you feel alone in a lot of ways, and there's people that you don't always want to share the ugliest sides of things. But Jon was always my safe place to talk about all of it, just like the rawness of life at that time. And we really helped each other through, like he said, like the darkest times. And so, I mean, we talk on the phone every day over coffee. I didn't even know if he was going to recognize me today with makeup on, right? You gave me no notice. I didn't even get to get Botox yet, Jon. No, before I was the first guest.
I'm sitting with a Botox person right now. I'm going to be coming back in a few weeks.
Who's this?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Well, I think what I take away from that, and thank you both for being honest, but also crying, because I really wanted that. So thank you for letting me check that box. But I think what I take from this, and just for anyone listening, is like a true friendship. I feel like the foundation is, for me, from what I'm hearing, is two things: acceptance and just being present. right? And I think those two fundamental things have really helped you too, regardless of the good and the bad. You guys have always accepted each other regardless. And I feel like I'm the same with Jon and just always been present. Sometimes literally being an ear, sometimes being advice. And I think that's so powerful. And when I say those two things out loud, it sounds simple, but it takes work. And so I just commend you guys both for like actually doing that. And so yeah, I got the answer I wanted. So thank you.
Well,
Good.
Stacey, I'm going to give you just a little segment here to share some last words, and because I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up. But I
Yeah.
want to give you a couple moments.
To say whatever I want to.
Just whatever you want.
Yay.
Well, wasn't last Saturday International Women's Day? So I want to also give you a thumbs up because you're doing it. You're fucking killing it. Career, all of it. So yeah, give yourself your flowers and let's talk about that a little bit.
That's actually great. I'm working on an event at work for Women's History Month. We're going to do some spotlights across our organization and do a panel event. Hold on, let me get myself together. Okay. I know I mentioned earlier in the podcast that I work in technology, and I am very proud to be a female in technology. I work specifically in cybersecurity, where it's about 25% female, 75% men. And so I've worked in the field for about 16 years now, and it has been quite the journey that I am very proud of. And kind of when we were talking about like our friendship, Jon and I got, Jon got to see the progression. Yeah. And I used him a lot to talk about, my profession, and he works in a kind of a techie job also. I got to use him as motivation and inspiration as I watched him through his career. So I'm very proud of where I am. I'm very proud to be a female in cybersecurity. I absolutely will advocate for any woman that wants to come in. I mentor about 3 women, more junior women, to try to help them navigate through their career. So this month, International Women's Month is really special to me. I celebrate it. I'm just proud to be a woman. I've had great women around me. I've had great men advocates for me as well through my career. It's awesome. I love being a woman.
Everybody should have a woman like Stacey in their life who has exhibited, I will just sit here and sing all of her accolades, but has been the best, coolest, kindest, neatest mother to 3 of the coolest boys. She's been the greatest friend. She's great at the drop of a hat, just showing up whenever somebody needs her. And then with work, just knows when to put things aside and get to business. And she has shared over the years so many just wonderful things that even our peers say about her, which I get to share in that excitement because I love just like sharing my best friend with the world because she's amazing.
Aw, thank you. If only I could see right now. I don't have my glasses on because they were shining in the light.
Won't get the windshield wipers on them.
Yeah, right? Look, I think about that, the My Girl scene where she's like, "You can't see without glasses." That's me. I can't see without I've been looking at all of you dots. You're adorable.
Oh, you actually can't see. I thought it was a euphemism for tears.
No, like I literally can't see.
Oh, well, fine.
I probably should get contacts, but
yeah, LASIK.
yeah, honestly. No, I am thankful you guys brought me on. I was waiting patiently like a girlfriend waiting for a text to be asked. So
And before it even started, she goes, I'm here whenever it's ready. I said, Stacey, we've got like 45 more minutes. She goes, oh, I'm just excited.
I love
Thank
that.
you, Bryan.
Right. I was like, I got here a little early.
Well, thank you, Stacey, for coming on. We appreciate it. And you're our first guest, so thank you.
Thank you.
We love it.
Congratulations.
Love you guys. You're doing great
We
things.
love you.
Chat soon, everyone.
See y'all later. Thanks. Bye-bye.